She was trained to be a domestic. She learned the art of physical punishment.
With the harsh punishment, you have a lot of domestic violence. When a child is constantly defending themselves from the rest of the world, they cannot grow emotionally because they're always defending themselves against whatever is coming at them.
When I started going to school down there, it was a good thing because I got to hang around with the people I got to play with all day long. But then they try to teach us this stuff we don't know anything about. At the time, I knew the language pretty well. I grew up with Seneca language. I got my hands hit a lot for doing it, and I got to paddle a lot for doing it.
But in second grade, Mrs. Cooley had us do a play, and we all had a great time with that play. And the play she chose was Little Black Sambo. And none of us really had been exposed to black people before, so we didn't know any difference, so we put on the Little Black Sambo play. And when she picked the cast, she told us this too. She picked the person in the room that was of the darkest skin to play Sambo. And we all had our part. So it was a very, I guess, subtle way to begin that whole teaching about racism, and who is and who isn't, and the way we feel about people that are different than ourselves. So, and it kind of got built in at a really young age.
When I began to search out why I did the things that I did, then I begin to understand what my father went through.
I can remember my mother kind of ran our household like an institution. We had our daily chores, weekly chores posted to the refrigerator each week. We had to make our beds like in military style. That's exactly how she taught us. Everything was just prim and proper to the ironing, all of that. But it was almost in the same structure that she learned and she adopted in the only way that she knew how as a resident of a boarding school. Have we passed some of that on to our children? Yes, I think so. Is there going to be a point in time where our children's children will begin to move away from some of that? I think so, because I think in part of the healing that our families and our communities are going through and actually looking at some of this impact and being able to talk about it in a good and healthy way and to understand and to reflect, not in a negative way, helps us just to move beyond that and to try and get back a lot that we lost.
So I'm just here today to look for that healing. I'm not looking for anything else. And I am looking to forgive. I forgave my mother, but I wanna forget Thomas Indian School because I know in my heart that my mother did the best she could by me. She wasn't to blame. She had an institution that was her parent.
Nobody said anything. But I come down here so I can talk about my father because I'm proud of him. I'm proud of the life that he led and that he did the best he could with me and my sister and my brother.
How long will it take us to really get back the whole idea of what a family is, what father, mother, son, daughter, what does that bond mean? And not only just that, but even extending out to your extended family. Because these children, even if they didn't have parents, if they were truly orphaned, or if they had parents who truly couldn't take care of them, what happened to the extended family? That was also cut.
That's the point of it. We were only Native people. So, so they let that stuff go.
Portrayed as a universally accepted standard of excellence, the Western educational system continues the cultural genocide of Lakota people by forced indoctrination into American culture, social institutions, values, customs, and language.
I believe in knowledge, but I don't believe in white man's education. I could count the times I cried on one hand. I said, I just came down from the hill. I never cried so hard. I know what it's like to cry. I had to learn on my own about our way of life. And I had to learn that way what it's like to feel, how to feel again, to be connected. Because I was a cold SOB. I was raised in a boarding school.
The boarding school mentality is still here today. A forced education that's sometimes physical and emotionally hurting our kids is still here today.
Today, the foster care system perpetuates the policy of assimilation through government-sanctioned kidnappings. A generation of children is once again losing its connection to its culture. This time it's through state-run foster care. We suffer irreparable emotional trauma as the government steals our children because of cultural bias, retribution, and financial incentives. 90% of our children are placed in non-Lakota homes or group care where our culture is lost.
So it would take a long time to undo, and I can't say that it would ever happen, because to heal, the apology from the government that allowed this to happen, I would say would never apologize. And what good would a hollow apology be? That's how I look at it. For an apology would have to be sincere. And how could it be sincere if it came from a guy that never went through that experience? Or was the one behind it? It was before their time that it started. So how could they be apologetic towards what they did to us?